All right, cool. Let's jump into it. So what are we at? Sort of 15:30, so 3:30 on the Sunday. Bit of a review just of the week, obviously, as I do on sort of weekend videos, but mainly just seeing a lot of sort of almost sort of basically dollar strengthening throughout the week. Did sort of come off a little bit on the Friday, which I'll sort of get to in that, but we saw metals get hammered a bit from the highs. We saw Aussie sort of pull back a little bit, sort of failed with the sort of little initial breakout area zone here. Look, I'll start off with Aussie because we're on the chart here now. This is the area that I was looking for it to sort of get up to. So we got within about 15 points or so. What's this? So 67.15 to, excuse me, 67.20s kind of thing, 10, 15 points or so. I knew this area was going to be a little bit tough. I've seen it previously. There was a big tussle of this as I've sort of gone through on the sort of the daily videos and that. This is an area of large congestion on the way down. It's going to be fairly similar coming on the way back up. And as you can see, chop, 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 change in that. And obviously, Aussie weakness sort of prevailed towards the bulk of the week, and a little bit of buying coming back in on the Friday. A couple of reasons for this: we're starting to see, they seem very flippant, the RBA, and also like the sort of speculatory part of the Aussie market is like at one stage they're saying, oh look, we're going to be having a whole bunch of cuts. Then it's sort of pushed back, and we're going to be having, potentially, one economist sort of saying up to 3 hikes by the end of the year, which possibly is a little bit of a sort of over exaggeration of it all. But obviously, you've seen Aussie strengthen up on this general idea that we're potentially going to have a couple more hikes coming into the end of the year. Then a little bit of data comes out, bang, and all of a sudden pulling back here a little bit now. So look, it's not dead yet. As you sort of saw probably on that Friday video, this is the area that I was saying, look, I expect some sort of buying to sort of come back in around this area, the market to have another sort of shot of it all. As you can see, obviously just a little bit higher than that, and it did step back in on this sort of horizontal that we already had marked out. So, the reason for being for this, apart from sort of, a little bit of a sort of dollar sell-off onto the Friday, was that sort of like from a technical standpoint, the body fill of these candles down the side over here. So if you sort of drag these across, that's your first little target, obviously, and then, buyers have sort of come in around this area under here, and then we've got another little one just down underneath bottom side of this buy area here. So there were the two areas. You could probably sort of say, hey, look, you're going to see some people close some shorts, you're going to see some buying come back in. Obviously, my idea was a little bit lower than this, a little bit sort of safer bet. But as you can see, pretty much in this vicinity, market did start to sort of push up. So it wasn't too bad a little close for the Aussie. I mean, look, not a rocket candle or anything like this, but we are engulfing this previous sort of bearish candle on the Thursday. Finished the week off fairly strong. If we get onto a lower time frame, we could probably see a little bit of this sort of channel that we were sort of charting out through here. Wednesday's price action was pretty much as expected. So as I said, we broke down through here. This is an area that we marked out a number of times, and hence this little arrow coming up here. Clipped into it and bang, smack back down. So, that's played out, that part. Now we sort of see how much there is to this little bounce. If this were to be a little bit of a channel, we've got two connections, top and bottom down here. It's pulled away from continuing down to a third. As you can see, my sort of thought pattern here, this would have been up, the top, bottom, the top, bottom, the top. Had this sort of flowed through down here, back up the top over here, would have come right down into our buy zone. But obviously that horizontal held just a little bit earlier, so didn't get any sort of fills on these lower entries. If this is the little sort of pullback channel that we have been sort of seeing, then we are seeing it obviously try to push out to the top side here. Get rid of this little previous buy section. And we'll have to sort of see how this sort of continues come the Monday. So look, it's not out of the woods yet. I mean, I would say it's not. It's in a very sort of could go either way kind of position here. I know that's a kind of sort of covering your bases, sitting in both camps, but just because we have one sort of sharp pullback doesn't mean that the whole thing's dead. But at the same time, you need to sort of, as I said, pick out those levels that we want to see get back above to sort of say that this is actually just a pullback to potentially then move higher. With the Fed sort of, coming out a little bit more hawkish, the US data being a little bit stronger, these are the kind of things that sort of lead to, the Fed also being a little bit flippant with their approach. Whereas originally they were saying sort of, cuts in think actually sort of at the start it was like cuts in March or something, which was never going to happen. But I think the general idea has been the sort of June, September, that kind of period there where they could expect to sort of start their cuts. That's now sort of been put back to potentially even December. So again, hikes, or not necessarily hikes, but sort of higher for longer with the rates kind of thing is going to sort of lead people to sort of think, hey, look, there's a little bit more strength possibly, or a little bit more you can suck out of the US dollar at this stage. And that's why we've been seeing US dollar sort of strengthen through this week after that sort of like pretty sort of flat CPI figure the week before where we saw it obviously get smacked down. So Aussie coming through here. Let's get this one off here, put this on a higher time frame so we can ignore it for the short terms. And above, cool. So if we get back onto our 1 hour and we kind of look at, okay, what's actually happening here? We've got a little bit of a pullback channel. We've seen it unable to complete this pullback channel. So that's the first indicator that, we may start to be seeing a little bit of a shift of this channel, because as long as it's sort of respecting the top to the bottom, the channel continues. This has not only sort of failed to sort of touch up at the bottom side of it all, it's actually poked its head out the top side here. So you're seeing a little bit of a shift sort of come through here. So again, this level that we saw it sort of tap into and sort of get smacked down pretty hard from the sort of 66.50. This is the level that we want to see it get beat. This is an area where we've seen, it has been sort of support a number of times while we've been up in this top range. And once we've got underneath, we can see, the back test of there. And obviously, as I've mentioned about 4 or 5 times already in this video, as it tapped into here, this is really the point where they just said no and went bang and smacked it right down. So, look, at the moment, it's showing signs of maybe a little bit of a recovery move through here. But again, above 66.50 is where you need it to beat to sort of give it a little bit more life. I mean, of course, then, you're running straight into the 66.70 area, where that obviously, has been an area we can see these have been sellers, sellers, sellers. So, they're the levels. I mean, it's pretty sort of straightforward. And if we drag up along the top here, we can say that this is going to be the next area to sort of really get above. So, it was looking pretty good. I mean, it's had a big run from the lows. If you come all the way back down here, we've really sort of had a big sort of hammer up to the top side here. It did give up this little medium-term sort of rising support. So it's something to sort of be aware of. But the fact that it's bounced and got back inside this as well shows me or makes me sort of think that there is possibly still a little bit of life left in it. To sort of say that, hey, this could have been just a little bit of a shakeout. Maybe the market's looking to want to sort of short it, or the retail side of the market wants to short it a bit more. And, that leads to the pain trade being more to the upside. But certainly they're pretty sort of defined levels of where we want to sort of see it beat to sort of see if we're going to see a little bit on with this show. It's really, end of the day, it's going to come down to a couple of things. We've got CPI coming out this week. We've got the US GDP coming out this week. If we see strong figures from the GDP for the US, that's going to strengthen US dollar, because the idea then being is that, the economy is not slowing down, so we don't need to sort of cut to stimulate. And if it is so strong, well, they can sort of live. It's obviously not being so detrimental as having the rates higher for longer. We're still producing, still hitting good figures. So that means that, we can, that sort of bolsters the idea of keeping it higher for longer, US dollar stronger for longer, this kind of thing. And obviously the reverse of that. If we see weak GDP figures, that's going to sort of weaken the US dollar. We're going to see, CPI come out on Wednesday, I think it is, for the Aussie. So, if we see a high CPI number, then that's going to sort of make people think, well, you know what, hikes are still on the tables. And up until a week or so ago, that was the talk. As I said at the start of this video, that some people were calling for 3 hikes by the end of the year. I think people want to sort of think that we're done with hiking. They want to sort of think that cuts are coming soon. Relief is on the way, but you need the data. I mean, I almost sort of sound like these sort of, sort of people from the RBA, we're going to have to wait for the data. But I guess that's really it, because, if the data supports it, then people are going to go, okay, well, whether they actually hike or not, that's not in question. It's whether people think they're going to hike. And if you get a high CPI, that is going to make people think, well, the RBA is going to have to act. They did sound a little bit more hawkish. This Bullock girl, when she came on board, said she wanted to be more hawkish. So, well, not said she wanted to be more hawkish, but said, sort of taking a little bit more of a hawkish stance than low was. So, if you get the high CPI, that may be something that they just need to really have a discussion with, because we had the RBA minutes out and they said, look, that was a possibility through it all. So I would say there's more chance of a hike coming for Aussie or the RBA than there would be a hike coming for the Fed. But at the same time, you need to see them actually act on it. So the market loves to sell Aussie, but if you do get that sort of idea that they are hiking and Fed may be cutting, that is just the perfect scenario for Aussie to be pushing up and getting higher sort of breakouts. Get rid of a couple of these as well, because they're not going to hit at these points, are they? They're going to hit like here, here, and here. Again, these are not time levels; they're just price levels as they sort of come here or come here or come there. Yeah, I mean, timing's not the question. It's just where those sellers are going to act or react, or potentially buyers act, react, and that, given the chance at the time. So in the short, after all that, look, Aussie not completely dead. It has shown some light, particularly sort of, it didn't close too badly for that daily. The 4 hour, what do we see through here? Look, we can see a little bit on this last push down here as well. I mean, this is always a little bit of a lagging indicator, but I do like this one. If you ever watch anything of my stuff, negative Ds are my sort of nice base reversals. And as we can see through here, this is your low. Drag this up through here. Let's put it on the negative divergence there, and you can see. Oh, do this. We have one low, next low takes out this low, comes in, higher buying, purchase, bang, and you see the reaction. So that's why I said I like the negative Ds. Look, again, it needs to sort of break up and come through this top level over here. So, it's not going to be sort of necessarily a dead straight move up, but I think it's probably got at least one more tap into this area before we sort of understand whether it's going to be playing this range through here or whether we're going to pop back in and sort of be tackling the top range over here. A couple of other factors in that is obviously copper sort of coming off a little bit. China's been incredibly, weak, strong, depending how you want to look at it, but the yuan's been sort of quite weak through the last week. It's getting back up into its top range there. If they decide to sort of keep a cap on that, then obviously that's going to help Aussie as well. So I'll be looking for a move. Probably, look, I mean, realistically, if you look at this on a 4 hour, again, let's just put this to another higher time frame. On the 4 hour, you've got a pretty, let's get rid of some of this stuff. So I've cleaned it all up. It's a bit of a choppy chart. This is the area, obviously, we saw market come back into it. But for an earlier sort of call of this would be probably just above these little highs through here. I think that kind of area there. If we get a close above these 4 hour candles and sort of can consolidate a little bit under this area, then I'd say that that's probably a good chance for to sort of get a nice position in idea of us a sort of a bit of a break through here. As I said, last couple of hours of the week you never really paid too much attention to. It just cooled off a little bit, consolidated the highs. That's set up. So I would say definitely we've got to push up towards 66.50 come the start of the week, 66.26 now. So there's about 30 points, 20, 30 points in this sort of move up to test that level there. If we get a sell back down from there, then we're just going to have to basically look for a bit of a range play and be wary if the lows get taken out over here, because that's going to be a double confirmation of selling down, and we're going to see probably a little bit of a deeper pullback towards those sort of like, I mean, probably underneath here would give us a good idea around that sort of 60, what's it, 65, 60 area. Below that, it's a pretty ugly looking scene for the Aussies back down to, mid 64s and into this sort of a higher time frame sort of support area. But yeah, I think initially we've got that little tap up to the top side at least to sort of see how strong this is. Speaking of DXY, as I said, it sort of sold off coming into the end of that week, came up here. This is an area that we've sort of, we pulled out a little bit. We can see, as I said, there was that little bit of a sort of negative divergence coming through this area here. It consolidated up into an area in which we sort of already, identified, marked out. It has a little bit of a sort of wedge coming through here. I'm not a big fan of this one because we've only got 2 touches on either side, really. It has obviously into the end of the week tried to sort of hold the lower side of this one coming through. But as I said, I think that we're probably going to see a little bit more downside through here. Not to sort of say that we're going to get a full meltdown, because you can see this is being a little bit of an area where you could see a body fill. It's come back down, okay, and it's down over here. But this didn't move off any news or nothing that I'm aware of. So I think this was more just sort of market participation. It wasn't like, okay, here's a new bit of data that we have to reprice for. This is people just sort of going, okay, well, you know what, this is high enough, good enough for us. Let's try and sort of whack it down. So certainly finishing on the back foot. If you take out those wicks down to the bottom side here, I mean, we've got a number of little areas through here where you would probably expect some more buying to sort of come in. So through here for the zones, these would be the levels I'd be looking at to sort of see if we're going to actually confirm a little bit further US dollar weakness coming through the week. So yeah, again, it's one of these things. It's hard to sort of say whether this is just going to go here. DXY loves to almost. I mean, if you look at these sell downs here, and then it grinds up higher, sell down right down here, bang, shoots right back up. So it never dies in one go. And it certainly likes to sort of, like, as I said, make itself look like it's about to die, give all the indications that it's moving down, and then it jams up even higher. So once that actually commits to the downside, then we're going to sort of see a little bit more of a play out. But if we pop this onto a daily, might give us a different view. And as we can see over here, this is a nice support area for the dailies. And we can see this is obviously CPI drop, came down here, pretty much hit our price target. That was a body fill down this one over here, so missed the price target by 4 points or something like this. That's fine. But as you can see, markets come up, retest the underside of this, and that's good enough for them. Bang, they've sold it off. RSI does look like it would support a little bit more of a move. Again, these things won't just go die down. So I'm expecting possibly a little bit of dollar buying, risk off early in the week, make a little top wick, and then to push down. As I said, we've got those big bits of data, and they're the ones that are just going to shift the actual landscape of it all. But come Monday, Monday's usually pretty quiet on the news. So I'd say a little bit of a top wick early, Aussie down a little bit, DXY up a little bit, and then I'll be looking for it to take out those wicks and then come down into these zones here. It was a bit of a grind through here, as you can see, so it means it's not straight levels that you can just chop through. So I imagine it's just going to be a little bit of a sort of a choppy sort of play, but sort of, through here, this kind of thing. But I do believe we're probably going to be coming a little bit more to the downside, but I think it's going to be a little bit of a slow week till we get that data to sort of confirm. If we zoom out on this a little bit here, we are actually seeing that it is coming back, as you can see, into what would be pretty much bottom side of this channel. So if this were to be the case, as I said, I'm not a Elliott wave person, but this is 1, this is 2, this is 3, this is 4. That would give you the idea that possibly there's one more leg to come, which takes you up, obviously, probably past those highs at least, 107s, if not 108s, and back into those highs from previously. We'll have to sort of see how that goes. See how far up has this come so far. As you can see, it was a pretty deep sort of pullback, over the 78% pullback through this area here. So yeah, look, I want to say that US dollar's done, because obviously a lot of my positions are sort of generally sort of short US dollar. But as I said, I am aware of the fact that it can look like it's about done, and then it can spring back to life. And really, this could just be a pullback of this last move here, which we are currently sitting at. Came back up to the 50. I still think we probably have one more leg down here, because for me, this is sort of like a setup, as in you got your sell down, support, up here, find resistance. This leg through here, I think we still have to find, which will give us our double bottom, lower low, higher low, reversal, that kind of sort of play. So I still think that we do have some dollar weakness to come in this move. Whether it sort of comes all the way down here or pushes through, we've got to wait to sort of see what happens with that. But I do think we are going to be seeing, I don't think we're just going to see a dollar buying rally that just pushes straight up through to 105. I think it's at least going to be a little bit of downside, which will show a little bit of reprieve in metals market, because obviously that got sold off quite hard, and a little bit of a push back up to retest those levels, as I said, with the Aussie. I think that we've got a little bit of upside testing to go with the Aussie, and if we see this sell-off in US dollar continue, then I think this is just going to be a squeeze, and we could be seeing a strong move, because this is quite a strong level. through here. This is almost, I think it's possibly even a weekly level as well. Um, yeah, I mean, with areas, yeah, I mean, look, you got the wicks for the weeklies down here. You got the high wicks over here. So body fills and all that kind of thing there. So I'd say if it does go down under here, then certainly, we're going to see quite a deep sort of pullback. You're going down to sort of, I really see you probably got the body fill over here, 103.40s, and then possibly back down to 102.70s just to complete this pullback move here. And then obviously, if we get down to this area over here, I'll chuck the next price target down over here. If we get down to this price target over here, then I expect this is going to be seeing a lot more sort of buying, pushing back up as well. But certainly if we get down underneath this one here, what they're saying, I mean, this is probably not going to be happening this week, of course. Where are we at? Add alert. That's a major breakdown on DXY. So we wouldn't want to be sort of long dollars if we get down underneath this level here. But as of right now, we're sort of seeing this sort of, similar. This candle here is looking very reminiscent of this one here. And as we can see, once it took out those lows, bang, it hammered down. Back test of this support area, resistance, push back down here. So where are we at now? 104.70. I think sort of body fills are going to be an interesting point through the week. So this area here, and then the bottom wicks over here. They're the two levels that I'm looking at for the week. Previous week lows. All right, cool. So we sort of yeah, certainly. We can see, as I said, it's sort of come through here. RSI is still happy to support a move a little bit lower. Price target, bounce, squeeze, basically retest of this little support that was through there. And then potentially, if we take out the wicks, so 104, then we come back down. First target back in here in that support of where we saw last week, 2 weeks ago now, underneath there. Then we're moving down towards these lower levels over here. I think that's a fairly plausible sort of play. The RSI, sorry, it is pulling back. These things can obviously just go and then swing back up to the highs, but I would say that's still got at least a bottom sort of body fill test before it made a wick and then flicked and then went back up high, if that is to be the case. And that'll come on a strong GDP figure, I would say. All right, on to gold. Gold got absolutely decimated through this week. Well, decimated, yes. Actually, I was trying to think something, say not something nice about it, but no. I was looking, if you recall, sort of last weekend, I was looking for buys back in this section over here in the 90s. It took a little while to come. We definitely got that sell down on the Monday, but then there was that big flicks up and down, and that silver was a lot worse. Like it was moving like 4% per session. But obviously, once these sells came, it just chopped through. And I tried to get buys here, chop through there. Tried to get buys down here, chop through there. So we are seeing it sort of come back into this big area here. And I've mentioned this a couple of times that 2330. I've got it on this chart or the other one. What's the problem with having these? 2330. We can see that this has been quite a sort of pivotal point a number of times through here. It was supported. Once you're underneath, it put a big cap on it. Same. And this was the big sort of confirmation of this breakout, consolidation breakout. So back down here, no doubt we were going to find a little bit of buying sort of come into it. It did sort of finish somewhat stronger, like it didn't commit to the downside, but certainly not anything sort of spectacular. You would have wanted this move through here to sort of potentially continue up a little bit more, to be a little bit more sort of confident with it all. But again, sort of similar sort of thing with the DXY. These sort of, like, I would imagine you probably get a pull down to the body fill, so 28. I mean, it's only $5 off that now. Make a bottom wick there, above this wick here, this will be your sort of your confirmation that we're going a bit higher. So if we are to sort of see this, because if you look at this and we invert the thing, invert the the chart, this is basically a hanging man, which is typical for a reversal candle. This is the kind of thing, as I said, like if you saw this set up on DXY, you'd be like, okay, yes, it's coming back down because textbook says it should be. But DXY will do this, and then it'll jam up another 3 or 4 handles. But gold, I feel, sort of respects the charts a little bit more. So, I would say we probably do have, as I said, with a little bit of a little bit of US dollar weakness and selling potentially coming through this week. I think this could give us a push back up with gold. As to how far, look, I don't know if this is necessarily going to be the big sort of shakeout to then sort of push up higher. I mean, you got to respect the fact that this dropped, $100 or something, wasn't it? Yeah, like $92 in 2 days. That's big. That's you know what I mean. That is people sort of really sort of okay. Yeah, we've had enough now. Let's get out of our positions and sort of really move on with it all. So unable to get that close above 2,500. I thought maybe just pushing up over here would have, but obviously as you can see, came up here. It was quite sort of tight at the top here. It was trying to hold it, but once that 2407 gave way, bang, it just melted. And, like myself, I tried to get long, stopped, tried to get long, stopped. And a lot of the market would be trying to catch this knife going down here, hence why it stops, and you get these big long push days. But, eventually this sell down's done. It doesn't mean that we're necessarily going to be coming all the way down here, at least in one go. I think we could see a little bit of a push up here. 2370s looks like it'll be an area of interest to sort of get back up to the top side. This could then create an area where we have a little bit of a sort of resistance, and then to further selling sort of coming back down. And then that second attempt through this 2030 will be the interesting one. That'll be the one where you sort of go, if we go underneath 2030 on a second attempt, I would say that's a good confirmation that we're coming down sub 23, and then obviously that's not going to be the bear flag anymore, but this is still going to be the area that I'm looking at to get down underneath here to go around down to that sort of 2230s. So I still think that that's got a sort of possibility on the cards in time. I don't think it's going to come straight down here sort of early on. I don't think we're going to get a straight meltdown. What I'm sort of thinking is potentially something like this, and then this will be the area that I'm looking for to sort of see how it reacts, comes back down, and then that's it. It's either boom through or back down over here. So you got these two sort of scenarios. I guess it could be a double top up there, but up here, back here, down here. They're your two things. But I think both of these give a justifiable reason that we could be seeing a little bit of a sort of gold rally, at least through the middle of the week. Yes, it was a big sell down, but still overall we're very bullish. You know what I mean? We haven't sort of taken out the lows or anything, and this is why this will be a very crucial area to sort of for the bulls to sort of hold. And I think that sort of again, I know it doesn't really give you much when you're sort of saying, oh look, it could be this, it could be that. We've really just got to wait to see what happens with the US dollar. I do think the US dollar will sell down, but as I've said a number of times, even just in this video, DXY looks like it's about to sell down, and that's when the market positions for that, and that's when they jam it up and inflict as much damage as possible. So we'll have to sort of see how GDP comes out this week. I think that's going to have a big driver for what gold does. All right, flip across on copper, because copper has certainly chilled off the highs a little bit here. As you can see, these sort of move. I mean, it's been an incredible run, but if you look at the size of these candles all the way through here, and then you look at the size of this, it is just bang, melting down. I mean, it took out all-time highs. Once you go past all-time highs, you can't really sort of chart these things so much. You can put sort of okay, maybe it's here, maybe it's there, but you're in no man's land. You've got nothing to sort of, no previous areas in which the market has valued this thing to sort of work off. So, it's only no doubt that they sort of get a little bit of a sort of sell down. So two things that could be happening here with this sort of last 2 days candle here is obviously tried to sort of push down a little bit further. It's holding. So, when you get these sort of turnarounds, they'll generally go mass candle, then tight, and then reversal up there. So you're either going to sort of see a little bit of a pushback up here, which, could potentially, I still think, as I said, with these things structurally, you need to have the 3 moves. Well, 4 if you close this one here. But this is 1, this is 2, this is 3. This area, this push here, I believe we still need to have, even if it is going to come back to this main trend, which wouldn't kill it overall. I mean, you can see through here, you know, this has been historically an area in which the market has valued it. It even sort of saw it a little bit on the way up here, double supports, resistance. This would be your downside target, at 451. And this could just go dribble, 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 and then melt down. And this could just be a little bit where it's trying to hold it and then sort of shits down here. But generally these things, like everything, every sort of move will have this second move. They'll say, here's the drivers, they'll pull back, and then we get this push here. This push here is going to give us lower high, double top, higher high. So this is the one where we sort of determine how strong this whole move is. Nothing changed like fundamentally. There wasn't like some news or drastic sort of things, and it turns out that, you know, copper can't be used in anything anymore. So there's no fundamental change that actually caused this sell-off here. This is more just profit taking. So really, you just need to see where, how long, or how much of this they want to sort of take profits for before they want to see if there is another leg higher into no man's land up above. So I would say that we do have, again, a little bit of a push up sort of coming through here. As to whether it sort of goes higher, double top, or lower high, hard to say. I would say that the size of that sell-off there would spook a couple of people. So I do think if we do get a push up, I'd be surprised if we make a new high after such a big sell down. But again, I mean, if you look at this little section through here, people are probably thinking the same. There's an engulfing, and it just sort of went sideways for about a week and then just charged up for a whole nother leg. So these things can happen. But, you know, when you see these big sell downs, as I said, they generally don't just die in one go and go down like this. They'll get a second effort. But I think these sort of big sell downs scare the market a little bit. And they think, well, people are obviously keen to sell it up here. So if you've got positions up around here and you get another shot to just sort of get out at even, I think that's going to spook a couple of people, which will give it a lower high. And then we can start to look at some sort of like, you know, pullback areas, something like this. We sort of like working out to sort of like go bang, 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 back down towards the main trend before it sort of then sort of pushes up higher. So maybe a little bit more pullback consolidation through this area. Again, I don't think it's going to be a meltdown. I don't think you just all of a sudden overnight run copper up, you know, sort of 30, 40% or whatever, and then all of a sudden just sort of go, nah, we're done with it overnight. So I think there's still a little bit of upside potentially through here. Just have to sort of see if it holds these areas here. We've got these previous highs just below where we are, so maybe a quick shake down to these, tap into here, and then sort of push back up through here. But I expect some buying on copper coming through this week. And finally, finish off just with China, where we are at the one, as it just keeps on grinding and grinding. It is another one that sort of just looks like these aren't sort of, I mean, look at the size of these candles coming down here. And then it comes up, and then these little, like, this is on the 4 hour, just little sort of tap ones. You know, there's a couple of sell down efforts through here, but it does keep pushing up to the top side over here. So we are coming back up into this top range here. So, you know, all this stuff kind of seems like a little bit of a shakeout. So again, this could sort of feed into that. Okay, US dollar was selling right off, push back up and squeeze. But this has been happening for, what's this, all of the month, really. So if we, I don't normally tick this onto the monthly chart, but let's have a bit of a closer look at this. I mean, look at that for a monthly. You know what I mean? Like, these sort of things, though, as I said, these candles like this are generally, you know, your hanging man kind of thing. So we're coming back into a monthly resistance area. This is the first sell down, trying to give it another effort, and then potentially to roll over and then sort of come down the side over here. I know I've been sort of saying sort of weakness on it for a while, but certainly actually if we look at this, it's almost coming up to a little bit of ascending triangle. That's something definitely to be sort of wary of, because sort of, you know, this is on a monthly. I don't trade it on the monthly. But if you can't sort of get through this area through here, looks a bit scrappy there, doesn't it? Weekly with this. No, I can't see through there, but you can see the idea of this, that it is a little bit of a triangle coming up here. So you'd want to see, yeah, some failure soon on this, because potentially if this keeps sort of charging up through the top here, particularly if we come through like 728,
Then we're back up over to testing the mid 30s. And that was where PBOC intervened back in September last year. So we know that they're happy to sort of smack it down if we do get that part there. This is still potentially my large sort of head and shoulders, even though this right shoulder is just really dragging on. This little head and shoulders play. So this is still an area that I'm sort of keen to see, but it's not coming anytime soon. That was a very strong bullish bounce from that sort of sell down, which I'm actually surprised this has come back so strong. If you've if you've been watching sort of what I do, like each time I sort of say, hey, look, here we're going to be coming down, here we've got negative divergence, and it just keeps on grinding through. So I would say once we sort of get up to where we've got this little price target here, we can see that the market sort of sold it a couple of times through this area here. I would say that this is an area where we might see a little bit of a reaction and a little bit of profit taking. I mean, it's still grinding up, and you don't want to go, yeah, surely it must be almost done, but it does sort of feel like, this isn't a full commitment move. It's just little bit, little bit, little bit, little bit each day. So I imagine, up the stairs, down the escalator. I imagine we are going to get a heavy sell down when this does actually crack. But as to sort of when it does, well, that's hard to sort of say at the moment because every time it looks like it's about to sort of weaken a little bit, it sort of seems to sort of just grind on a little bit more, doesn't it? Pulls across here. I mean, that's a little. Again, this is 4 hour, but that's grinding up a little channel here. So, I mean, with these grinds, there's just so many horizontal levels to sort of pick on, to sort of say where this could bounce, bounce, bounce kind of thing. So a grind up is going to not necessarily be a straight cut back down, but I do believe once this does sell, we're going to get a big solid candle, something similar to this coming out the bottom side of this little channel here. And that's what I'll be looking for. All right, so yeah, that's about it from me. In terms of news that we have for the week, we got BOJ sort of speaking early Monday morning. That's about it for that there. We have bank holidays in the US and also bank holiday in England. So Monday's trading, could be a little bit light on it all. As I said, I've already said sort of what I think is going to sort of be happening through there. Tuesday, we got retail sales for Aussie. It was previously negative 0.4%, expected slight tick up to 0.3%. So a tick up so higher retail sales will be probably a strengthening thing for the Aussie. The idea is, again, with this sort of being that, if they want to curb inflation and curb people's spending habits, well, they're going to have to do that by ratcheting up rates or holding rates higher for longer. So if we get a weak number on the retail sales, we'll see an Aussie sell-off. If we see a strong number, I imagine we'll probably get a little bit of strength coming in with the Aussie dollar there. A few Fed speakers on the Tuesday. Nothing really else that's jumping out. We've got consumer confidence for Wednesday or Tuesday night in Aussie, 12 o'clock. Aussie CPI is 3.5 previously, so it's tipped to go down to 3.4%. So just a little mark down. Again, with these sort of things, if we get a strong CPI, we're going to see Aussie strengthen. If we see a weak CPI, we're going to see Aussie sell off. So that's going to be the big one for the Aussie throughout the week. Thursday, got some manufacturing numbers out of US, nothing too spectacular. 10:30 Melbourne time on Thursday 30th, we're going to have GDP. So that's the big one for the US dollar and also for, reacting with sort of gold and Aussie. I think that'll sort of give us a bit of direction with those two. And then finally on the Friday, we got manufacturing figures out of China, both tipped to come pretty flat. So I don't expect too much movement sort of through this here. And then sort of finishing the week off, we got, where is it, core PCE for US, which is a slight tick down expectation. So we'll see how we go with it all. But yeah, that's how I'll be playing. A little bit of a reversal from that sort of harsh sell downs that we saw mainly through last week. And then sort of be looking for those key levels to sort of see if they're going to sort of continue down lower or if we're going to see some kind of a shakeout kind of play reversal, and then we'll be tackling the highs. All right, that's it from me.